Welcome back to school, Franklin County. My name's Dr. Mark Church, and I'm going to take you on a little bit of a tour of Franklin County Public Schools and how it's going to look when we start school on September 8th. So, come on, take a ride with me. Well, one of the first places our students are going to come back to school will be on the bus. And so we have some new rules and regulations about our bus. And I have with us our transportation crew and also Mr. Jason Williams, who is the Director of Operations. Mr. Williams, tell us a little bit about what our families can see and our students can see on our buses as we start school.
Well, one of the first things that you're going to notice is a little bit different is one student per seat, and we are going to ask that our students wear a mask. It will be required when they get on the bus to have a mask on, and they will be able to sit one per seat. If we have family members, they can sit together, and we'll try to keep social distancing as much as possible. Also, you'll notice that we'll have the windows down on the bus for extra ventilation when possible if it's not raining. Also, one of the things that will happen is we will have after every run, the bus will be sanitized. Our bus drivers will have a sanitizing spray, and they will go and sanitize the bus as they come out of the bus after every run.
We are here at Boones Mill Elementary, but this isn't the Boones Mill Elementary that you're normally seeing. We're actually in the back of the building. Mrs. Schaefer is the principal. Ms. Schaefer, what's going on? Why are we in the back of the building to go into the school?
Well, we have shifted our main entrance from the front of the school to the back of the school to provide some extra security and safety for all of our staff and students.
Okay. Well, the students will do just fine. Parents may take a couple times to get used to that,
right.
But good deal. So let's go in and show me how it works.
Sure. So just like our previous entrance, we do have a video doorbell that parents can ring the doorbell and get assistance from the office, just stating your business. And then if you are ready to go in, we can unlock the doors and allow you to come into our new lobby.
I'll unlock them. So parents are going to come in here.
Yes, this is where they're going to be able to enter and go to our new countertop, which looks directly into our office, where there's going to be staff available to answer any questions that you might have.
Okay, so they'll come here if they have to check out a sick child?
Correct. There's going to be two options. You can either come in and do the checkout, which will be a hands-free process, or actually there will be an option outside the door as well. If you have a smartphone, you can scan on a QR code after announcing that you're present, and you'll be able to do that without actually coming into the building to check out your student.
Great. Well, while we're talking about that, I know parents are going to be concerned. We've sent home a magnet for them to know what are the symptoms and when to keep a child at home. But could you walk us through maybe what happens if a child is sick here at school?
Sure. If a student gets ill here at school, the first thing that's going to happen is the student's going to be removed from the room and taken to our clinic, where our nurse will be able to provide assistance and also contact the parent to come and pick up the child.
Okay. And so if they're home, when can they come back to school?
Well, the child has to be symptom-free for 24 hours before they can return back into the classroom environment.
Okay, so 24 hours without medicines or any of that kind of stuff?
Correct. No fever without a fever reducer, just as we have in the past, but yes, no symptoms and no fever without any medication.
Okay, now what if someone has COVID or was exposed directly with someone with COVID? How does that work?
If a student were to be found positive for COVID, then there is a quarantine period. So the student will not be able to come back to school for at least 10 days, and then they still must be symptom-free for at least 24 hours after that 10-day quarantine period.
Okay, but they're going to be working with us as a school, and then we're also going to be working with the Virginia Department of Health to look at contact tracing, and they're going to be working with us so that we know maybe what other children were in the classroom, maybe who was on the bus, and we'll make those contacts to parents and to make sure that everyone is safe and certainly isolated if they came in contact with the virus.
Absolutely. Safety's first.
We are here at Burnt Chimney Elementary School with our brand new principal. This is Allison Garland.
Hi, everybody.
and we're excited to have Ms. Garland here as the principal of Burnt Chimney. Ms. Garland, I know that one of the new things people are going to see will be your face here at Burnt Chimney,
That's right.
but what else will our family see this year versus maybe last year?
Great question. So a lot of parts about school will be the same. It's still going to be a fun, engaging, welcoming place to be for all kids, but some things are going to look different. So one of the things that will be a little bit different is we're going to do everything we can to help our students socially distance, which means to stay 6 feet apart from each other. So to help with that, we have some tape on our hallway floors and in high traffic areas like the cafeteria, the entrance, near the bathrooms, near the clinic. And we have feet to show them where they can stand to be 6 feet apart. So that's one thing that's going to look a little bit different. Another thing is when staff and parents and guests come into the building, we have a health screening form that is a QR code that they can scan, and it takes them straight to the health screening questions. And they do that before they come in the building so we can make sure everybody is healthy and safe before entering the building. And then when parents come into the office, they also have signs that show where they can stand so that they're also 6 feet apart from each other.
Well, great. Well, you know, our students always seem to do a very good job, and it doesn't take them long to get into routines.
That's right.
It's hard for us adults sometimes to get into routines, but
Yes.
for the children, they're going to do just fine.
They are. We had a group of students here for summer school, and they got used to wearing masks and staying 6 feet apart, and it went really, really well.
Great. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
We are here at Windy Gap Elementary, and Mr. Brain is the principal here. Mr. Brain, we're going to start school very soon.
We are.
And we're excited about that.
Yes,
But
very.
tell us what you might be able to find in any elementary school. We're here at Windy Gap, but we're not going to get to them all today. But tell us what you're going to see as far as if someone gets sick or schools and how we're going to work with cleaning and classrooms. So just walk us through what we'll see in an elementary school.
Okay, the first thing is, as I begin this, the procedures for Windy Gap are going to be very similar to Dr. Church's point, as you would see in any of our elementary schools or secondary schools. If a child does start feeling sick and ill, they would first come up to our nurse in our nurse's station, where the nurse would do an evaluation. She would evaluate whether or not this student is somebody who would need isolated or not. We have 2 beds here set up for them, but then if the student does have a fever or is not feeling well, we would bring them across the hallway here to our isolation room. We have chairs set up, and in the isolation room we would be able to do a better evaluation. And the big thing about the isolation room is just how it sounds. We would still have students going to the nurse's station for lost tooth, for medications. This way we can keep those children who are not feeling well and we're concerned about with the COVID here in the isolation room.
Until the parents come.
Until the parents come. And once the parents come, what we're telling parents is, please do not come inside. When they come to our front area, we are going to walk the child out to the parent at that time. As you can see, we have marked the floors. Now, the big thing about elementary kids and all students is making sure they understand routines. And the big thing about routines now in this day and age is making sure students stay on their side of the hallway. So we have one side to make sure the students are walking up against the wall this way if they're going that way, and of course this way for that. All over the building we have our reminders of washing your hands, having your mask on, and staying 6 feet away. They're all over the school and all over the building. As you come into a classroom, you will notice that we have X's, and we call them their little bubbles. We have X's. This is where the students would stay and line up and to go to cafeteria, to PE, to recess, and those go around the room, so they're 6 feet apart. If you noticed our desks have been located 6 feet apart, 6 feet away from all children. That way we can ensure that they have their own safe environment. When students are done with this desk, let's say on an A day, this student on Tuesday afternoon would take all of their materials and put it into their cubby over there. And then we would sanitize this desk. That way the B student who comes and sits at this desk, it would be completely sanitized and ready for them. And that's what Wednesday is, the virtual day. To get everything cleaned, we do the same thing on Friday afternoon for when the B kids are gone to the A kids.
I am here with Ken McCarthy, and he is our head custodian here at Windy Gap Elementary. Mr. McCarthy, would you take a few minutes for our families and just talk about how we're going to sanitize their area for their students and the chemicals maybe we use? I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We have 3 different chemicals we'll be using on a daily basis. This particular product is going to be our go-to. It's all 3 chemicals are approved for killing the coronavirus. This one here is going to be for cleaning all day long. I have other chemicals that are bleach and alcohol based, and they'll be used at different times. The bleach is going to be for heavy cleaning. The alcohol is going to be for quick sanitizing, such as lunchtime when the children are in the hallway. We can hit the bathrooms very quickly, and we can hit the bathrooms like every half hour. So there's different chemicals for different uses.
So while students are having class in here, the custodial team will be out in high touch areas like
Yes,
the
sir.
cafeteria, the light switches, the bathrooms, all those areas.
Absolutely. Yep.
Very good. A lot of cleaning going on in all of our schools.
Hello, we're here in Windy Gap's cafeteria, and we'd like to show you some of the things that we have going on here for our students at lunchtime. You will notice that we have X's 6 feet apart, and those go all the way into the serving line and down the serving line. One of the things we're implementing this year is when one classroom or one homeroom cohort gets through and gets to that doorway, they will call for the other second grade, let's say, group to come down. So the first group would go in. That way we don't have all lines going everywhere. One cohort goes in, then the next one will be called down to go. Once the student gets their lunch or has brought their lunch to school, you'll notice we have placed these X's all onto the tables here. They are 6 feet apart, and we consider that their bubble. And after the lunchtime, when these students leave and get lined up to leave, we will sanitize this whole table, the whole table, before the next group comes in.
Mr. Brain, now that's how it's going to work here at Windy Gap, but that's not how it's going to happen in a lot of elementary schools because of space. What's going to happen
Correct.
with other elementary schools in Franklin County?
Here at Windy Gap, we're fortunate enough that we have the space availability that we could eat lunch here. In most other elementary schools, however, the students will be brought their lunch within their cohort room, within their home room every day. So they'll eat breakfast and lunch in their room every day. Here at Windy Gap, again, we just have the availability of space to be able to keep students social distance apart and still have them come to the cafeteria.
Now, we know that all students are required to wear face coverings, except you can't wear a face covering while you're eating. It's a little difficult.
A little difficult.
So we are going to allow our students to be able to take their face covering off as long as they're socially distanced, and then of course when they're finished eating they'll put their face covering back on.
Correct. Anytime they're mobile within the room, within the room or within the hallways or here in the cafeteria, they will have their face coverings on.
We are here at Benjamin Franklin Middle School with Principal Dr. Clements. Dr. Clements, I know you all have been busy all summer trying to ready for students coming back. What are our families and students going to see here at the middle school?
They're going to see a few different protocols, obviously, given the circumstances. We have changed our morning drop-offs to accommodate students and allow for social distancing, and we'll walk you through those a little bit later in the video. And we've also changed our hall protocols. We've changed our classroom setups. We're going to have a lot of safety posters around. Obviously, everyone will be wearing masks. And we've also changed our cafeteria procedures. And we'll be doing a whole lot of cleaning and social distancing. And we're just excited to have our students back in the building, our teachers back in the building. And we're going to make sure that we're doing everything we can to keep everyone safe.
Dr. Clements, I know we have changes about how parents are going to be dropping off students that's different from last year. Can you explain to our parents, if they choose to be a car rider, how we're going to do things at the middle school this year?
Yes, as you can see, we've got a car pulling in. We'll be moving in front of the west building with our bus lot. So car riders will enter at the far end, pull up, they'll stop, drop off their students. That way they can use multiple entrances in front of the building so they can socially distance. And then they'll exit and they'll go down row 13 to go out and merge with the main line of traffic. Our maintenance department will be putting in pylons to facilitate that, so that way parents can see where the exit is. We're also changing our car rider drop-off in the east building to accommodate more traffic patterns this as well. You'll be dropping off in the back of the east building as opposed to the front. It's a larger loop behind the east building, and that will allow more cars, and our students can socially distance as they enter the building there as well.
We are here at the high school, and Mr. Crutchfield, when students come on September 8th, what kind of changes will they see here?
They are going to see quite a bit of changes to our building, and the most obvious change will be some directional arrows that will be on all the hallways throughout our campus. Essentially, what we are going to do is to encourage one-way traffic, so students will not be crossing face to face and will not be having an opportunity to spread any kind of germs that way. Also, there's signage all over our campus, signs that will indicate which stairwell to use or which stairwells are open, maximum capacities on our restrooms. But mostly they'll notice a lot of physical changes in the way of signage, directional arrows, and some different ways to enter and exit buildings. Another thing you'll notice at the high school this year is that all of our classrooms are set up using CDC guidelines. If you'll notice, our desks are spaced 6 feet apart. The blue X would indicate that these desks are not in use, so students would only sit at the unmarked desk. We do know that it would reduce our capacity to 50% or less. We also have a safe zone set up for our teachers. Again, this is just painter's tape on the floor, but our teaching staff will have an area to be inside a safe zone, and all of their personal items will be in the safe zone as well. If you can look around the classroom, there is no classroom sets of books or materials or supplies, so we can limit the usage that way. Teachers will only use individual supplies per student, and then of course their one-to-one Chromebook. The cleaning of the classroom is pretty simple this year. There is a solution that it actually doubles as hand sanitizer as well, so you could use it on your hands. But for teachers, it very simply sprays on the surfaces of desk after each cohort, and then again before the next cohort. The spray is designed to dry on its own. I think I've been told about 4 or 5 minutes, and it completely sanitizes the seating area. We will use that on common areas such as doorknobs, light switches, pencil sharpeners, those types of things as well. One of the significant changes you'll also notice is our cafeteria setup. Our students, as they are walked to the cafeteria to get their lunch, will notice X's on the floor that are 6 feet apart, so students will stand in line and practice social distancing and waiting to get their lunch. Once they get to the checkout counter where they'll enter their student number, this will be a touchless system this year. So students will not have a communal keypad to key their student number in to receive their lunch. Most of our students will eat in a classroom, although some students will have to eat in a cafeteria. Those who do not have a designated classroom, such as our weight room, some of our career and technical labs also are not conducive to lunches. So we do have a divider between the serving line as well as the seating area. And I'm going to step into the seating area for just a minute. We have designated seats in the cafeteria so that students can sit 6 feet apart and eat their lunch, as indicated by a blue mark on the table. Each of us are 6 feet apart, and if we are eating lunch in our cafeteria, we can do that with our mask or our face coverings off.
Well, we're here in Chromebook Central. This is where we have gotten at least a lot of the Chromebooks for the high school and some other areas here ready to deploy to our students. And Tim Morrison's our Director of Technology, and John Holcomb is part of his staff that we've been working all summer to make sure that we're ready for starting school on September 8th. So Mr. Morrison, tell us about how integral Chromebook devices are going to be to our online platform this year.
Well, as you know, we're going to be using online for a lot of our program. We're going to be using Canvas. So devices need to be in every student's hands. So this year we're trying to get one-to-one 2nd through 12th grade with Chromebooks. From pre-K through 1st grade, we're going to be trying to get either some type of device, either an iPad or a Chromebook.
And what happens if families don't have Wi-Fi? I know that we have some parts of our county that are a little sketchy as far as Wi-Fi is concerned. What can we do for them?
Well, we got multiple options. Right now we are looking at, we have Wi-Fi in the parking lots for if they have access to get to a school. If they do not, we have an offline method of delivery that the teachers are working on to create so that the kids can actually download them, put them on their device, go home, work, come back on the next weekend, upload, and then download again.
Okay, great. Also, this summer, we've been working very hard to make sure that we have Chromebooks for our students. Mr. John Holcomb and his team, you've been working very hard this summer to make sure that they're ready, that we're set with our software, and we're good to go for our students to be able to operate in Canvas.
Yes, sir. Basically, this summer, we've set up probably 1,500 and some computers, Chromebooks here at the high school. The middle school's gotten probably an additional 1,200 Chromebooks. We've been pulling Chromebooks out for students to use that we didn't have new, so we set up these back here for students, to use. Basically, the setup involves, just taking them out of the box, putting our software on to make sure everything is right, so we can manage things. If we need to push out software or something, during the year, we can do that through the management system. And basically just been getting everything ready to use with the Canvas system. Back in March, we kind of got a taste of how it's going to work, but right now we're trying I think we're pretty much out of one-to-one right now. I mean, from the numbers that we have and from what we've set up and stuff, I think across the board we're one-to-one with Chromebooks at the time for grades 2 through 12. But it's been a pretty big process, but it's something we do. So I feel confident that what we've done is that the students are going to be in good shape when it comes time to be, to do virtual at home, on the days when the students are home. They have a device in their hand that's going to be usable, that's going to be able to do the work that they need to do. And I think the students should be able to stay very well on task with the Chromebooks that we've set up this year.
Well, we've got a lot of innovative tools for our students to be able to use. Our teachers have innovative tools so that they're using for their instruction. So we're looking forward to a great start here in Franklin County, especially with all of our technology. I'm here with Mr. Jason Williams, who is our Director of Operations. Mr. Williams, I know that we have families who have questions about how we're going to handle meal distribution once we get school started. What can you tell our families?
Well, one of the things is that our summer feeding program is still going on. They'll be able to go to the grab-and-go sites at all of the elementary schools until the end of August to pick up those meals like they've been doing all summer.
Okay. Now, that means that when we start school, we're going to be back to a full paid system, right? Except for those who are CEP, those who are at free lunch, and even reduced lunch will be able to get it, but they'll still have to pay their reduced price.
That is correct. Our students will be able to come in and get their meals as the CEP. They'll get them free like they always have been doing. Those students who are free and reduced will still have to go through the line. We'll have a touchless system this year where the students will come through and they will have a card and they will just scan their card through the system so that there's not a touch, it's touchless. So that we don't have to touch anything coming through the line.
And that's in all of our schools?
That will be in all of our schools, elementary and high school, middle school.
Very good. Thank you. We've been hearing a lot about Canvas and the learning management system and how we're going to be able to deliver online instruction. Well, I have our experts with us today. Ms. Brenda Muse is our Director of Curriculum and Instruction, and Karen Weaver has been instrumental in helping us make sure that our Canvas system is up and running. So these are our experts, but we're going to start with Ms. Muse. Ms. Muse, when parents hear about online learning, it's not like it was in the spring, it's different. Tell us how it's different.
Well, it's different in the sense that students will be learning virtually through a computer The curriculum, the units, all of that will be downloaded into our new learning management system. But the good news is the curriculum itself will not change, the content of the curriculum. We have our teachers who have spent a large amount of time developing our units, and they are equipped with the SOLs and engaging activities and videos and things that will engage our students in the learning process. And our teachers are masters when it comes to developing units. And they are collaborating together to make sure they have the best quality instruction for our students. And so when it comes to students, they are so adept when it comes to technology. I don't think they will have any concerns at all adapting to a new learning management system. Now, it may be a learning curve for our parents, but Ms. Weaver has plans in place to address that. So, learning will continue to occur in our virtual format.
Now, Ms. Weaver, when I was in school back, while the earth was cooling, when we were teaching, we would go into the filing cabinet and pull out the lesson of the day, and we'd go to the copy machine, or back in my day, we used to use the mimeograph machine, where I loved the smell of that stuff. But anyway, it would, and you'd print it out it was way back for students. But now, the whole thing for a learning management system, all that stuff is in the cloud. Magical, but how does that happen? What happens for our students?
Okay, so Canvas will be where all of, like Ms. Muse and Dr. Church said, our instruction is housed, and there also be, you want to think of it more than just a house for your materials, but it's going to be a place where you can connect with your teacher and they can connect with you. You can also have opportunities to practice. You will get your direct instruction through video and by reading different articles and different reading passages that your teacher puts on there and looking at images. But there will also be time where you can just practice the skills either with partners and peers in the classroom, or you can practice by yourself. We have Canvas set up where it's going to work for our students who are online and our students who don't have access to the internet. Both will be able to access all of the instruction materials, and they'll still be able to communicate with their teachers.
Now, some of the lessons and activities get students off the computer and out into the community and various science projects and looking for things. So it's not just, because I know just sitting on a computer all day would not be fun, but they're designed a little differently. Can you talk a little bit about some of what you've heard that our teachers are planning and preparing for our students?
Certainly. Canvas will be like the house, and the activities, the instructions, the directions will be in modules inside of Canvas, so students and parents can open those and see the directions of what they're supposed to do. But like Dr. Church said, it might be an activity that the directions are to, close the computer and go outside and take a nature walk and look for things in nature that you might be studying about in science, or in math, you might be looking for shapes and you can take pictures. There are a lot of features built into Canvas where you can get video instruction and directions, but then unplug and enjoy just being outside or at your house or even in school, but not necessarily on the computer.
Well, and that's the beauty of our new learning opportunities, that's what I call them, because it will give students opportunity to be more creative, to be able to collaborate and have more authentic experiences that they may not would have had the opportunity to in the classroom. So it's going to expand the learning greatly for our students.
Now, what happens if parents or students have questions? Who do they reach out to?
Well, that's one of the things we want parents and students to realize. You will still have access to your teacher, either through an email, through a text, through a phone conversation, or through a Zoom meeting. There will be a number of opportunities, so we do not want that to be the elephant that keeps someone from communication. And then we do have a process in place. If that teacher hasn't heard from the student within a day or two, then we have mechanisms in place to reach out to that family.
Very good. Now, a question, in the spring we heard some of my own family members were talking about, as a parent, it was very difficult. They didn't have time to teach the program. And I don't know the parents realize that they're not supposed to be the teacher. What would you consider the parent's role in a virtual instruction?
But one of the things I feel like all parents, they can do this one thing, is to set down expectations for your child. Even create a schedule for that child when they need to be working online, completing all of their assignments, and then their only responsibility when they come home is to just make sure the work was completed. Every parent could do that.
Certainly, and then for our younger students, like our pre-K, our kindergarten, our first grade, second grade students, they'll require a little bit more support, but teachers are working really hard to give really clear directions for accessing the material, so the instruction, but also how to submit assignments and to submit photos or video or pictures. And they're also working really hard to make this content accessible to anyone, regardless of their situation or learning needs. So students will still have access to video and audio recordings of their teacher if they're not able to read the content. Teachers are working really hard and being really creative to make sure that all the content's accessible for students and parents.
Wow. And something that I want our parents to know is that for schools, it's like even if you're at home, we want you to dress up. We want you to dress exactly like you'd be at school. We don't want you to roll right out of bed and try to get online or make yourself presentable, because our faculty and our staff, this is serious, and we're doing it in a different format, but certainly school is going to go on. We are so excited. I know I'm speaking for our instructors. We are so excited to have our students back. We look forward to seeing you at our business days, and they may be a little different. We look forward to having you back in school or online because, again, Franklin County Public Schools is a great place to learn. Thank you.